gonna happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen. One of these days.
Oh, we're live?
Well, no, I have a FedEx ad.
I see us live.
Oh, yeah, we're live. But I mean, I've got an ad playing right now.
Oh.
About FedEx.
Good old FedEx.
It's making sounds as if you're wearing pleather pants that are way too tight for you.
What?
And you're trying to move around in them. That's the sound that the tentacle's making. It sounds like you're wearing like pleather pants that you're trying to move around in, but they're too tight.
Gross.
Surprised it doesn't catch on fire right there.
It's sufficiently far enough from the flame.
Yeah, because if I step back there.
Well, you're not a tentacle, John.
Oh, look, though. But look. See?
Your character.
My biscuits are burning.
Well, get your biscuits out of the fire there, John.
Can we grab my hot cocoa? I'll be right back.
All right.
Should be ready now.
You guys...
My wife didn't leave any coffee, so
Oh.
some hot cocoa and make do.
Entertain the masses.
And the whipped cream is for
cocoa.
our conversation later, but I could probably use it for the hot cocoa too.
Wow. And you have no reaction over there whatsoever. John's getting whipped cream for you for later.
Oh, he was...
And you didn't even have any reaction to that at all.
I was just stunned. What do you say to that?
Just listening to the tentacle making sounds.
I should have brought my like I had a warlock or something like that with a succubus.
Quit trying to steal all the attention. I am the bug queen.
Oh, we got some people. Let's see.
Are they here for the bug queen? Because I would be.
It's Dre. Dre's here.
If I were not the bug queen, I would come for the bug queen.
And Greg Nagus. Okay, there he is. I don't see you in the thingy, but there you are.
We don't see you, but hello.
And I see his chat.
John is getting hot cocoa. Oh, there he comes.
Oh.
Hot cocoa in his house.
Oh, god damn it.
It makes him very white, apparently.
Whitest.
What?
You did what? What?
Hi, John.
Crack is
John.
whack.
Crack is whack.
'Cause inside out is wiggity 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 whack.
That's right. Better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I wish I could facepalm.
Hey, Grand Nagus, how are you, sir? Yeah, I know, sir. Yeah, it was my question as well.
Layla is the bug queen for this
I
episode.
am forever the bug queen.
Ah, well.
Yes.
Yeah. So there we have it. Yeah, the bug queen. Because sex doesn't have to happen just between humanoids.
No, no, John.
Oh.
I love to have people fondle my pathorax.
And that's the show. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And we're out. Yep, we're out. And, yeah, so,
Come
good
back
show,
and rub
everyone.
my carapace!
Oh, God. I'll let you go first, sir, because I'm not going back in there.
Yep.
I just kind of hiss as you walk past.
Yeah, Grand Daga says he's out.
Aww.
All right.
You're too far in now to be out.
Wow, that's what she said.
How are we going to make it through this episode?
Oh, this is your episode, Layla, I'll just have you know. This is your great idea for a show.
Listen, this was not my great idea. This was an idea that needed to happen because everyone and their mother wants to hear all of the juicy details about relationship RP. It is probably the most interesting topic as far as roleplay is concerned. It probably holds the most intrigue, I guess I will say, for everyone.
It's the soap opera of roleplay.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly is the most dramatic part of roleplay, is it not?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean...
Well, let's start the show. We already are, pretty much. I mean, hey.
Yeah,
this
pretty
is,
much. We're just kind of already talking about it.
We're just sliding right into the show. I mean, it's one big segue into, that's right, welcome back to For the Roleplay. I'm Turwinkle, and we have the Bug Queen, Layla. And
That is such a cheerful wave, though. I'm like,
hi, I'm the Bug Queen. And every once in a while, you see Layla's little wings start flip-flapping over there. And then...
I'm very excited to be here.
And then we have the Master Disaster, the King of Mean. It's Vladimir, the Impaler.
Oh, God.
There we go. It's
There
Vlad. All right.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh, look at Layla's wings.
there you go. I was going to wave, but I guess not.
Layla's wings did their thing just in time. Okay. Tonight's topic on For the Roleplay, you folks voted for it. You could have had warlocks. I mean, hey, in the other house. In the other house. Yeah, in the other house there's some warlocks.
Yeah, they are.
There's some warlocks in the other house.
I knew it.
And,
I picked this area. I knew that there would be some Earthers.
Yeah, they're having a good old time. We'll go check on them in just a little bit. But tonight we're talking about
like a second camera cut back to the cut back to the Earp cam.
Barry White's in the background.
That's right. All right.
Right now, Nagus wants warlocks, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Warlocks, that's right.
But what's it called? What was the other one that almost won out? I think it was the Dynamics of Guild Roleplay.
Yeah.
That was another one. So we'll
be
definitely be doing that later on.
Right up to probably the final hour or two of the poll on Twitter. Relationship RP and the Dynamics of Guild RP were tied.
Yeah, you could have put it over the edge there, sir. You could have saved us.
No, I don't cheat.
There's no cheating. That's not cheating. You get to vote.
I do, but I'm not going to because
What'd you vote for, John?
He voted for good and evil.
Yeah.
He wanted dynamics of good and evil characters.
Yeah, that's a good topic too.
It is. I definitely do want to do that one.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's not like we won't get to all of them.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be coming back to this one as well. Yeah, we'll be coming back to this one again.
Roleplay, roleplay is all about relationships. It's not like you can't necessarily really roleplay without one. Like
that's right.
You have to have those things going on.
Well, and that is what we're talking about tonight, folks. And again, it is what won our poll. It's relationship role play. So, first and foremost, what is relationship role play, Vlad? What are we talking about here?
It's just RPing with another person, John.
Oh,
I mean,
there you go. Okay.
Let's break it down in layman's terms.
If you're role playing, if you're slash walking, you have a relationship RP. I guess what more importantly, that's boyfriend girlfriend or kind of intimate role play kind of thing. Most people think of when you say relationship role play, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be a family kind of role play, like a brother and sister or brother and brother or whatever. Not in the sexual term.
Or it could be.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll get to the ERP later.
Man, Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But it's not.
I was gonna keep doing it while he was talking, but then he
stopped
his mic.
Just basically, it's just role playing with anybody. That's essentially in a real. Jesus Christ, Layla!
So.
I'm done now.
So why do people want to do, or why should someone want to do relationship RP? Well, I think.
Okay, that's two different questions. Why do people why do most people pursue relationships? To get some.
For the same reason that little old bits probably read steamy romance novels.
Oh.
Yeah, just they want. I would say they're fantasizing about romance.
Oh,
they're looking for. I guess. Yeah. Some people do that if you want to go to the sexual level, but some people just want an interpersonal relationship on a deep level that they truly enjoy that kind of that dynamic and role play. As to why, you said you said
why do
people do it?
Why do relationship RP? Why would someone want to do it?
Why would you want to do it?
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to develop a character, obviously. Not just not in the sense of just having a romance kind of thing. Although I do think that is helpful. I think you should have multiple different types of relationships, varying in degrees. A business relationship would also be, useful because it basically helps you define how your character acts in front of certain people, and you kind of get to discover that about that character, and also it helps you define the character for you, so it makes it, I guess, easier to role play it next time around. Because I'm going to a business meeting, he's going to put on a this face, whatever kind of thing, or that's all I can really say. It helps develop your character, and helps. It should. The idea of it is to help separate yourself from your character. Again, that's a running thing in our show.
Well, I think another reason why people want to do it, or why you should do it, is it helps incorporate. Tentacle lately, it's freaking me out. Helps to incorporate your storyline into the world around you, I think. And what I mean by that is you start intertwining your character in with, say, a guild or people that are close to you, people you're role-playing with. You start collaborating. Your storyline starts to intermingle, basically, with others people's storylines. And it really, I think, that's really when the meta opens up for you. And you really start to feel like your character's a part of the World of Warcraft. So instead of just hanging out by yourself or, just writing background stuff and whatnot, I think you're really taking that step and putting your character out there and making them more of a living, breathing creature within this meta that we call World of Warcraft.
I've never heard of it called a meta before.
Well, the universe.
The universe.
The universe.
The playground in which we role play.
Right. Right.
That's really neat outlook on it.
What do you think, Layla?
About why people get involved with it?
Yeah.
Well, I will at least call out the elephant in the room and say there are people that get interested in it because it's something that they're lacking in their real life. It's a way, either it's something they're lacking in real life due to, or, we can't even count the circumstances in which that would happen. But, people are able to explore things through role play that they are unable to explore for whatever reason under real life circumstances. And I think that relationship RP, be it an interpersonal relationship, be it a family relationship, whatever the dynamic is, that there are individuals that use that outlet as far as role play is concerned because they lack that outlet in real life for whatever reason or whatever their circumstances may be.
Ah.
And and that's, certainly said without any kind of judgment because of the fact that, everybody has their own reasons for role playing. And if that's your reason for wanting to go out and find romantic RP, if that's strictly what you're in there, there's people that's strictly what they're interested in. They're not interested in really, building a story for their character outside of just exploring a relationship with another character. And that's perfectly fine if that's what you're interested in. Again, as our running theme through all of our shows, if, you're whoever you're role playing with, if as long as everyone is comfortable and you're all on the same page with everything, then that's great. Have fun, have at it.
All right, well, awesome. Yeah, and I think that's very true. For a lot of folks, it is kind of an outlet, isn't it? In their real life, it gives them something to. Yeah.
I mean, that's that's kind of what roleplay is. It's just simply expression. Think of it as like a story circle kind of thing in college or whatever, when people, take like a communications class or whatever. It's an exercise in creativity, and I don't know. I think that's just something fundamentally we all need, and this is one of the outlets for that.
Well, I think it goes back to your other point as well. Is it's a lot like when people read like either romance novels or read fantasy books or just read books. It gives them a place to go and experience something that they might not be experiencing in their real life. And so this role play is just another facet of that, where they can come in, role play as their character, and have these different relationships with their character with other folks that they might not feel comfortable in doing so in real life.
One of my gurus actually told me that the purpose of roleplay is to walk in another's shoes and to view life through their eyes. And that's very, very true. And I think that's, again, why people search for certain types of romance roleplay in relationship roleplay, because they simply are unable to do that themselves in real life, where the reasoning why doesn't necessarily matter. It's the fact that they want to experience certain relationships because they can't, or maybe they have, but they want to do something differently. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to pretend I know. But I think
there's as many different reasons for getting involved in it as there are people.
That's
no, I don't think anyone's reason is just exactly the same as anyone else's. But it's about finding those individuals that, share at least a common thread in what you're interested in order to experience that all together, or, as a couple together, or however your situation is, that will allow you to experience those things regardless of the point of reference in which you're venturing forth from.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Now, again, I want to state, and I think, Vlad, you've already said this a couple times, that not all relationship RP is sexual. It doesn't have to be. I mean, there is relationship RP that, say, Vlad would be my Uncle Vlad, or Layla would be Grandma Layla. So I mean,
Grandma Layla, the Bug Queen.
yeah, the Bug
It
Queen.
even just be a business relationship, and
Yeah,
not even like a merchant's trading partner. But I could be Terwinkle's bodyguard. That is actually it'd be a friendship on a certain level, I guess, or it could be strictly professional, or it could be a transition from professional into friendship. All of those are important, and all of those have their own rewards in that kind of roleplay that you can reap from pursuing that kind of relationship.
and one of those rewards is actually adding that good, quote unquote, good drama to your character.
Feel good feels.
That's right. Giving your character more depth, allowing them to experience the ups and downs of having that relationship, whether it be a romantic relationship or a business relationship, a family relationship. There's always ups and downs, and it always makes for such great storytelling and such great story arcs for your character when you have either conflict or you have some what's the opposite of conflict? Some good things happen. So so I mean, that really helps add flavor, and again makes your character feel more alive, doesn't it?
Yes, most definitely. And you begin to respect your character a little bit more. I think I don't know if it's healthy, but it is definitely, you will develop this kind of need to start role-playing your character a little bit more because you want to either fulfill their needs for interaction, if that makes any sense. It kind of sounds like a crazy person, kind of doing things, but I think that's a good mark of a good role player, because you treat your character as a person who is, has their own relationships, has their own life, and you want to respect that.
Layla, what do you have to say?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we talked enough about what it is. How do we get it? That's probably the main way to do it.
You mean, how do we get it, or how
not that? But I mean, I guess if you're looking at that. But how do you get involved in a relationship role play? My advice is don't look for it, just role play. I mean, obviously, the fact that you are role playing is telling others around you you're interested in starting some form of relationship between your characters. That's the best way to do it. And also, I suppose you can go to guilds as well. That's the way I look for roleplay. I usually just find a guild that kind of suits my character's needs. That's the way I meet people. I find it much easier than randoming, because whenever you random, like if you go to a tavern or anything, you have to consider a lot of different things that I don't like to consider for my character. Like, for the fact, why is my character in Stormwind City? Does he live there? Most of my characters don't. And so I have to have a reason my character would be in Stormwind City.
Terwinkle goes there just to relax after a busy day out in the Outlands. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he just likes the bustling city.
Yeah.
Which would be, I mean, if you think about it, like, though, for a mage, that's a lot easier than, say, some other races or classes that they can't just poof right back into town where they want to be or whatnot. So, some other classes and races would have had significant travel in order to get back to Stormwind. So the idea of just, I'm just going to go there after a long day, it's not really applicable in many cases.
That's their problem, Layla. Hey.
Well,
let's take up some arts. It took a long time to learn those portals, Layla. It's not just, I just don't just go poof. That's a lot of work.
So basically, if you are not a mage, John thinks that you should just delete your character now and re-roll.
Well, no, if they're complaining that, hey, he just gets to go poof and he's back. Hey, that's, I put a lot of work into that. There are laws on, how, your portals. You can't just make a portal out of nothing. There's actual laws that dictate how you
my point.
And we will have an episode fully devoted to John explaining those laws to us.
Wow.
So we are going to expect a full, in-depth,
I will.
descriptive essay about
4 by
the
4.
function of portals.
So it has
and
to be 4 by 4, structurally sound.
Yeah.
Anyway, the reason why I don't random role play is because of all those things. Because of all those things I have to consider for my character. So much rather find a guild out of character, and find if that my character would fit into their guild, and then develop relationships from there. Because there's a setting, there's a story, there's a reason your character's amongst these people. You can actually work that out between the guild leader or whoever that's with you, or going, for that reason. Or you can join for the naughty things. There are channels you can go on to
for the naughty things,
and you can basically ask for whatever you wish to do.
Wow, that's against TOS, sir. We don't do that.
It makes me think the fact that we're for the role play, that's the After Dark podcast is for the naughty,
the naughty bits. Yes.
The naughty bits.
But no, if you're looking for a romantic role play, what do you do, Vlad?
You don't. I don't know. You if you want to role play with the opposite person, like an opposite gender and or whatever, it could be the same gender. But if you want to develop a romantic relationship, see that I don't agree with just doing it because you need that. I don't agree with that. So I can't really answer that question. Again, like I said, I think you should just role play and be who your character wants to be. And
sometimes that'll happen naturally, won't it?
To. Yes, that's what I'm going to say. If your character is attracted to their character, that will happen naturally. You have to be careful to note that you are not attracted to their character, or you are not attracted to the person behind the character. It is whether the character is actually attracted to this person.
I don't know, Vlad. You're a good-looking man. I was going to save this for after the. I was going to wait till after the show, but so you brought it up now. But no.
And how?
Oh God.
But no. So, sometimes it'll strike out of the blue, won't it, Layla? You'll happen to run into somebody and you start up a role play conversation with them and you just hit it right off.
I would say so, but I think that it all depends on what you're going into the situation looking for. And that's really important, especially if you're talking about a romantic relationship, because there are a number of people that are not looking for that. And, with TRP3, that's one of the flags that you can put up, not interested in character romance. And, I see that pretty frequently, that individuals are not interested in that. So unfortunately, again, with many other things, those are things that you have to make sure that you're on the same level of interest with the individuals that you are engaging with, if that's your intention. Whereas Vlad was saying about not interested in just getting, involved with the character just for the sake of, making a relationship. But, if that's what you're interested in, have at it. As far as I'm concerned, I don't really care one way or the other. Don't involve me in it. And that's fine. But and that's strictly because there are way too many traps to get involved in there that kind of weirds me out personally. But at the same time, if that's what you're interested in, and I think that I'll go out on a limb and I'm going to say this much. I think that this is one of the situations that really separates the majority of the community, at least that I've witnessed personally, on Moonguard versus the community that I've witnessed on Wormrest Accord. In terms that Moonguard is not shy about telling you what they're interested in. Individuals that are role-playing on Moonguard, if you take a look at their RP profiles, you are going to see a whole lot more of them that are openly interested. Like, they put it out there. This is what I want. This is what I'm interested in. Be it, relationship RP, be it interested in certain elements of that relationship RP, fetishes and whatnot like that. People are very open about that sort of thing. Whereas my experience on Worm Rest Accord is that you don't generally see that openness that you would see on Moonguard. So honestly, if you are really looking for a certain type of role play or even a certain type of romantic role play, there are people out there that are interested in it just the same as you are. It's about networking and finding those people in whatever fashion that means for you. But, like I said, I think that, it's important to take note, much in the context of other elements of role play, that, again, add-ons like TRP3 give you the option to list on there whether or not you're interested or your character is open to romantic relationships. And if you are, then go ahead and set that flag as that's what you're interested in. And maybe that in and of itself may have someone, whisper you in an OC fashion saying, hey, what are you looking for in terms of like a romantic RP and that sort of thing. Whereas if you're, engaging with someone in roleplay, or you just happen to see them passing by and you read their RP profile and it says that they're not interested in romantic RP, that has to be something that you respect, and don't expect to go after them and change their mind or anything like that. So that should be a pretty good indication that if you are interested in romantic RP, don't go after the people that have that flag up, because they're clearly not interested in that type of RP.
Right. So if you say that I'm a mailbox and I want you to stuff me with your mail,
Yeah.
you're asking for, you're being specific in what you're wanting.
Wow.
But Vlad, I want relationship RP, but I don't want to have to go out and get it. How,
Tough.
Oh, you mean I got to go out there and actually RP with people?
Oh my god, yes, you actually have to roleplay. Yeah.
Oh.
It's what a concept.
But what if I, look really cool sitting on the bench just waiting for it to come to me?
Good luck.
Now, I've seen this time and time again.
Unless you're sitting on a bench located in the inn in Moonguard, or in the inn in Goldshire on Moonguard, it's probably not just going to walk up and plop itself in your lap.
Even then.
Yeah.
No, even then, it's a pretty good chance it probably will there.
Oh, okay.
Well, if you got a bag of gold sitting with you, you might get. You also walk out with the disease as well.
I have a question to pose. All right, so what if? Okay, so you are a role player, and you are in a relationship outside.
Not
of
according
roleplay.
to some people. Oh.
Anyways, you're a role player, and you have out of character. You have a relationship with somebody else. Is it okay to have a in character relationship with another character?
Oh, you mean in the, okay? So you're in the game. You are in love with the Bug Queen over here, and the Bug Queen says she's in love with you, but there's a tentacle monster out there that Layla loves as well, and you caught Layla out in the bog with the tentacle monster.
No, I'm not talking about in game at all. I'm talking about
that will come up in the down the line, but we can go over it now if you like, sir.
Oh.
But
no, I'm talking about out of character,
Okay.
having an out of character relationship, like you have a wife or you have a husband, and having in character relations, like your character with another person's character are related. What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about that? I should say.
Well, it depends on
And feel free to answer, audience, if you have an opinion on it as well.
Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends. I think on your significant other and their thoughts, because real life has to take. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but real life has to take precedence over a game.
Yes.
Yeah, and so if your significant other, if you're spending more time in the game with your roleplay partner than with your significant other, and you're starting to neglect that real life relationship, then I think it's an issue. Now, on the same hand, if say you're not, but your significant other doesn't like you spending time with, say someone of
The Bug Queen.
the Bug Queen, and they say, I don't like you having, because it feels to me like you're cheating on me with someone in the game, then I think you have to respect that.
What do you think, Layla?
I think that there are a number of factors. I don't think that there's one specific answer that
How
will cover
dare you,
this
Layla?
question for everyone. Because here's the thing. First off, yes, I think that, what your significant other, what their feeling is important. If they are not comfortable with you, it's really difficult for me to say, because I think that if they're not comfortable with you role playing in that, like, I don't want to get into all of the,
Well, there's other issues there,
should,
isn't there, Layla?
Yeah,
just
I
role-play.
really don't want to get into like all of that, trying to solve people's real life relationship
Dear
problems.
Layla.
But yeah, submit your questions. I will help you with your problems. But I mean, I think that, that's always going to be a factor. And I think that in that case, it's really, an individual thing where you have to be intelligent enough to understand what's going on and what's comfortable for you as far as real life is concerned. However, if you just kind of give just the very, baseline response, an important element of that is something that we've discussed in previous shows, in that it's all about that line between in character and out of character. Just because your character is involved with another character in a romantic relationship, that does not mean that you, out of character, are involved in a relationship with the other player in an out of character context. Is that possible? Yes. Does it happen? Yes. Like, there's all those sorts of things. But you cannot at the very start of things assume that that's the case. Or else, if you do not understand, at the very basis of everything that has to do with role play, if you do not understand that line between in character and out of character, regardless of what the topic is, whether it's conflict RP, whether it's relationship RP, what have you, it's going to get messy, and it's going to get messy very quickly, especially if you're dealing with character relationships, personal, private relationships between characters, versus how you are blurring that line and how it's affecting your real life.
I think that's a good answer.
Well, let me tell you.
I think both of those are good answers. Go ahead.
If, let's say, things aren't, the magic isn't happening in the bedroom, but then your significant other comes out, or you come out, and that significant other is just doing the do with someone, in the game, I think I'd be pretty pretty upset.
That comes down to just like what's going on in your personal life.
Yeah.
And that lends to Layla's argument. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's up for you to decide. That sounds very drama ridden, and it depends on the person, I think.
Here's my take, and again, like I don't really want to get into giant conversations about, but I think again, this is true not just in RP and whatnot, but if those boundaries are being crossed, there are other problems going on that you potentially need to seriously address, that have nothing to do with roleplay, that have nothing to do with a video game, that you need to be real and honest with yourself and your significant other and take care of those situations without blaming it or without anything else about, because here's the thing, and this is kind of along the lines, I think, of what you were saying there, John, in terms of things not being okay in a relationship. If you are uncomfortable with your significant other being, role-playing a romance in a video game, then you probably have serious other problems going on to begin with. that
Right.
are making you feel that way, or vice versa. If you're looking for that in a video game, there's probably significant problems going on otherwise. Maybe they're not problems. Maybe you don't think there's anything. That's fine too. If it's not a problem, then, but again, those are things that we can't even begin to cover the scope of all of the external circumstances in which things can go very poorly as far as role play's influence on your real life. But again, it really comes down to, do you understand the separation of in character versus out of character? Because if you understand that separation, even if you cross that line, as long as you understand that the line is there and understand that you are crossing it, then that's completely up to you. And I would hope that as a responsible adult, that you understand that there will be consequences, that there will be repercussions, what have you, if it is affecting real life relationships as a result.
Well, let me add one last thing here before we move on, and that a lot of folks tend to blame roleplay in this particular situation for some breakups in marriage, but I contend that this could happen to somebody who's a raider or somebody who PvPs or plays, Legends or some other game, plays some other video game and doesn't roleplay at all, but they spend all their time in this game and are ignoring their relationship. So bear that in mind. This doesn't all fall on just role players. If there's something going on in real life with your relationship, it's not necessarily because you happen to roleplay with your guild all the time. There are ways that you can, you set certain priorities in your life, and so.
And only you know those priorities.
Yeah,
We're not here to tell you what your priorities are.
Other than give money to Vlad. Okay.
That'd be great.
That'd be a big, good priority.
Still expecting that $50 for the end of the week, John.
Wow, I said I'd get it to you soon, sir. There might be some.
Soon. You said soon. Last month.
Okay, this is
He's
not
going to
the
set
time.
the bug queen after
This
you,
is
John.
Not the time, Vlad.
When is it the time, John?
You won't
Not
return
now.
my phone calls.
All right, so now.
Sencha had an interesting question, I think.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she sent one to Layla, I believe. She's pulling it up right now.
Do you want me to read the whole thing? Because it's different parts of it. Or we're done?
Wow,
Does this fit into...
I don't know. It was
professionalism. We've got it, ladies and gentlemen.
It was kind of about the how is it successful, or how to make successful relationship RP happen.
Oh, okay, and that's our next topic. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, that's our next topic. So that's why I asked.
Well, she says, on the subject of RP romance, I was wondering, what advice do you have for first-time role players on entering RP relationships? How can both parties make it last for years? And do you have any suggestions on RP date spots, activities, etc.? Fun spots to take your character's significant other.
Wow, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess let's unpack the how to make a successful RP relationship.
Okay.
And number one,
I think number one would be communication. That's the biggest one. I think we had communication being like another thing that you need to do throughout all of our episodes for role playing. Is you gotta be able to talk to the other person behind the character, and you gotta make sure everyone's in the know of what's going on. I mean, surprises are great, but not necessarily in relationship roleplay. Surprise! My character's cheating on you. That's kind of not cool. Because I don't know. I think that's just kind of not cool. I will say this about romantic roleplay is that the line between OOC and IC it's supposed to be very defined, but it gets thinner. I'll say that much for a lot of people. So I think communication is the absolute key to having a successful romantic relationship kind of role play, because you're kind of pulling on the character's heartstrings, which makes the player of that character a little upset because they really care about their character, and they don't want anything bad to happen to them, even though they can't. As a good role player, you kind of have to let that happen. It hurts you when your character's hurt.
Yeah.
So, and that's the purpose of roleplay. You want to have those ups and downs with them. So, I think again, communication is key.
Yeah.
And like I said before, go ahead, John.
Yeah, it's paramount in all roleplay, and setting those very clear boundaries of what and where you want to go with your character, setting clear expectations of what you expect out of the relationship, and having fun with it. But again, communicate. You cannot emphasize that more.
And now another thing that Cynthia asked is, how does it last for years? Or that I cannot give you the answer for that.
You just give them the good D, sir.
What?
Wow.
oh, I mean, no.
Make good descriptions, yo.
Yeah. That's all I meant by that.
Some thick descriptions.
Like a veiny, muscular arm.
That's
Oh
right.
God, no, thank you.
Long descriptions. But no, go ahead, Vlad.
Oh God, I think I lost my place.
But no, the key to a really successful storyline or relationship, again, is dependent on, I think, you and either the guild or the roleplay partner that you have, and how well you play basically your roles, and again, how well you're communicating, and and I think in a lot of cases you bump into somebody, you start to role play, you start communicating with one another, and it's something that can last for years and years. So it's easy to do. It's easy to mess up, I think, too.
I guess I think I thought of something to help it last a little bit longer.
Viagra.
No. God, you're eager to get to
John, I have to
aren't
say,
you, John?
do you
On our
remember
next
the big
topic.
red commercials?
Oh yeah.
Make it last a little longer. Longer with
Big red. Okay. There you go, Vlad.
Thanks. I think one thing that could last your roleplay a little bit longer is, keeping things fresh, and that kind of ties into dating spots, I guess, or nice little places to go on a date. And I thought of one that's pretty neat. I don't know if you guys can off the fly. I have the advantage of knowing the question beforehand. I think arenas would actually be a good place to take. Yeah.
Arenas.
Like if you had
wow, there you go, Layla. Good to have fun there.
Did he get shanked in the back?
Yeah.
No, not participating in them.
Oh, look, he got his head chopped off. Here's a rose.
Yeah, like watching, like going to the Gurabashi arena or any of the other arenas in the world, and kind of not even having to like.
It's like you put up the plastic sheeting, so when there's blood spray.
Yeah, no, you want to feel it all. You just want to. You want someone's eyeball to bounce in your face. Like I think
that fell in the pudding.
It'd be a wonderful.
Good Lord, sir, that'd
be a good.
I think if you're talking about romantic,
maybe for orcs,
relationship RP, they probably want something other than eyeballs bouncing in their face.
Yeah, we were in a good place last week. Lakeshire Inn.
That's a
good place.
I think this is a nice place.
In fact, we should go see. Let's go see. I'm gonna go see.
Travel with John as he goes scope out the Erpers.
Let's go see. Let's see. We're here. Where is this? Surwich?
Yeah.
There's a nice beach all the way, down the way there. I don't know if there's murlocs on that beach down there.
It's a little glum, though.
Well,
it's a little glum.
The lighthouse out in.
What do you mean it's a little glum? They've got their Christmas decorations up and everything.
That looks nice.
I mean, Gildan is.
Oh yeah,
Gildan
sir.
Grand Nagus has something to say. Let's see. It's supposed to be a reflection of life. He must be talking about roleplay. So only positive events happening is not reflective of that, and success should be about getting through the hard times together. Just IRL.
Oh, God.
Just my opinion. Oh, they're still here.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Don't reveal their names, John. That's just mean.
It's probably too late for that.
Oh.
Hi,
No,
guys.
I don't think you saw it, but oh, God.
Wow.
All right. Well.
Oh, but and they're there. So, but yeah, this. And we'll get on to ERP here in just a moment, but.
And how?
Whew.
But no, I think the arena is a good idea. Like, I honestly
Wow.
think that would be
Wow.
a good role play for depending on certain characters, not everyone. Certainly not John's innocent puppy dog eyes, but like I don't know. I think there would be some characters that would be genuinely interested in that kind of outgoing or going.
I see this is kind of nice over here. Look at this.
Yeah, look at that. Nice seaward kind of view.
Yeah. Hear the waves stuff. What's so nice now is you can fly pretty much everywhere. And back in Classic, it was hard pressed to find any place. Except there was some places when you would climb up behind Ironforge, and it was a chore to get up there. But there was a secret path that you could make your way up there to the very top. And again, they didn't have any of that stuff developed yet. But if you drop down the other side, there was a farm area right on the other side when you drop down over the wetlands. And there's some nice places there. But pretty much, if you're looking for romantic RP and you're looking for a nice place to go, you can find it anywhere. You could go do a nice hot tub soak in Winter Spring. It's got those nice pools there in Winter Spring.
I think Bashir would be a nice underwater kind of adventure kind of thing. It's very pretty down there. I don't like questing in Bashir, but I think the zone is very very nice looking.
Let me also go out on a limb here.
Okay.
And say this. You do need to be aware, just because you said something about Winter Spring. Please be aware that some of the hot springs are sulfur driven and they will smell like rotting eggs. You're not just going there for a holiday to sit and soak yourself, because it's probably pretty nasty. You probably really don't want to.
Well, most hot springs are kind of sulfury, but it's nice, Layla. It's really,
Okay, John.
It smells like butt.
You run through the snow and then you dive in. So it's fun.
Okay, John. You want to smell like rotten eggs?
It's not that bad, Layla. There's a little sulfur smell. It's not really bad. That'll have to be an episode for the show. What are the smells in World of Warcraft?
Speaking of wet things and smells,
You'll be talking about the Worgen.
All right, so erotic roleplay.
Layla's smelling something.
Erotic roleplay. I think that's one thing.
Oh God! You have to say
smells
and then bring up erotic roleplay.
Yep. I'm curious what your guys' view on erotic roleplay.
Because it looks like number one is your view, sir. Number one would be you, lad.
Okay, I mean, I'm interested.
Are you ready for this, John?
I
already know that he wants to take you to the arena for a date. So,
okay, before we discuss our opinions of it, I do want to throw out this disclaimer. First off, you have to understand that the idea of erotic roleplay, regardless of what your opinion of it is against the terms of service.
Yes.
As far as Blizzard is concerned.
Yes.
Therefore, no matter what the situation is, regardless of our opinions or what have you, regardless if you're interested in it or not, if you are interested in it, you need to take it to a private channel, whether that is in whispers or a party or an instance you cannot be in /say, /general, /emotes, nothing like that, because I don't think that is acceptable regardless of who it is, regardless of if your opinion is that you're against erotic role play or you're somebody that doesn't mind it. I think across the board, everyone agrees that it is not okay for it to be in anything other than a private chat channel. And to do so in an open chat channel, again, whether it's /say, whether it's in an emote, even if you think that you two are the only players in the general area, don't do it. Because of the fact that not only can you get reported and banned for it, because again,
end up on a Twitch stream.
It's against the terms of service. You can end up on a Twitch stream. You can end up in somebody's video. You can end up in screenshots on Twitter, something, because you never know who's around and who's watching you. There are rogues, there are druids, there are characters that can stealth and you would have no idea that they're there. It's just not in good taste to be doing anything like that in an open chat channel. So I just, wanted to preface that. I think that that's something that needs to be at the forefront of the conversation, that at no point is it okay for you to be doing anything as far as erotic role play is concerned in an open chat channel, which anyone can read it. Not because of the fact that, they're going to embarrass you or that, anything like that. Like, that's going to be your own business. If you get banned for it, if you get, your screenshots are thrown up on Twitter or something like that, that's all your stuff to deal with. That's not for anybody else. But you do have to keep in mind that there are children that play this game and there are families that play this game. And if somebody unknowingly runs into a building because they're exploring and they're, a minor, and they see that come up on their screen, like, that's not cool. Again, I don't think, I think across the board, everyone would agree that's not cool. So keep it, no matter what, keep it in a private chat channel, whether it's a whisper or a group or, what have you, because don't the whole world need to be seeing it? Who raised you that way?
That's right. All right, I guess we'll do my view first. I don't care. I think erotic roleplay is fine. It's perfectly okay. I'm perfectly okay with that being going on. Again, like Layla said, as long as it's not in my face, I don't care. Do I think? And I'm talking about all of. Okay. Hold on. I should back up right there. Not the really bad crap. Like pedophilia stuff. No, I'm not okay with that. But like most things, it's okay, as long as it's not in my face and I don't know about it. When it comes to, I just lost my place. Wonderful. That's basically my opinion on it. And that's right. Grand Nagus actually said something in the chat. He said Moonguard is special. And see, that's the connotation like erotic roleplay gets a lot. Is that it's looked down upon. I don't understand why. The reason why is because we all have those instincts. We are human, so of course we're gonna want to engage in sexual activity in almost everything, or we're going to fantasize it, especially when it comes to creative writing and stuff like that. I don't understand why people have such this poo-poo kind of attitude toward that work of, I should say work of art, but it's basically what it is. It's an art form, is roleplay. I don't understand that.
I think that that's something that, and not to get on a big culture thing about it, but I think that that's something that's prevalent, at least in terms of, I can only speak intelligently about America because I don't obviously live anywhere else. But from what I understand, it's very prevalent as far as American culture, that we are taught to be ashamed of it. And we are taught that it is not proper and that you don't talk about it and you don't acknowledge it. Whereas there are other countries where it's perfectly fine. It's all over the place. You can talk about it openly and nobody shames you and nobody makes you feel bad for it and like all of that sort of thing. And here's the thing. I think I'm an advocate as far as Moonguard is concerned because of the fact that I have met amazing role players from Moonguard, especially when in terms of when Cross Realm first was implemented, that individuals from Moonguard, if we're talking out in you know, in zones like this where it's not in the city, because obviously you're not really going to see that, but you could be out in the middle of nowhere questing or doing whatnot, and you will be cross-realmed with individuals on other servers. And as a result, yes, I have come across role players from Moonguard while on Wormrest Accord, and they have probably been some of the most pleasant roleplay experiences that I've ever had. They are individuals that are thoroughly proficient at role playing and are very respectful and just really great role players. As a result, I have nothing but positive experiences as far as Moonguard is concerned. And I understand that there is this ha 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 thing about Moonguard in terms of erotic roleplay and things like that. And we're going to completely just forget about Goldshire, because that is not a measure of any server. That's one place in one questing zone that is notorious for that reason, and people come to make it worse. And that is not a reflection on Moonguard as a server, at least not in my experience. However, what I will say about Moonguard, and in terms of, if it was, for, and not saying that this was Grand Nagus's intention, but you see this all over the place, where people will have that, kind of guffaw when they mention Moonguard, or anybody mentions Moonguard, because it's that, all they're into is erotic roleplay. And I'll tell you this, you're not going to find anything on Moonguard that you do not find on Wormrest Accord, or you do not find on any other RP server. The only difference is that Moonguard is very open about it, and that's what makes the difference. You go on Moonguard, they're not ashamed to tell you what they're interested in. They're not ashamed to just describe in detail what their characters look like and what they're interested in. Whereas Wormrest Accord has this notion of kind of looking down their noses at Moonguard, or so it seems. Not everybody, I'm not trying to say everybody on Wormrest does this, but you will see a large percentage of individuals will look down their noses at Moonguard for these reasons, but they don't understand that these things go on every RP server. It's not just Moonguard. Moonguard's just very open about it. And I think that kind of goes along with what you were saying in terms of this is something that is an interest across the board to human beings. What the level of your interest is different for everybody, because everybody's coming from a different place. But I think that at least in terms of my experience, is very true for, it's kind of like Wormrest Accord is America, in that everybody does it, but nobody talks about it. And it's very shameful. Like, you get shamed and shunned if you even admit to as much. Whereas Moonguard seems to be a lot of other countries in the world that are very progressive in their thinking, like, hey, there's no big deal. We all do it. Here's what I'm interested in. If you're interested, come join me.
John?
It should be banned on all servers, and there's no room for it. And so, yeah. Okay.
Oh. That's it? It's just you're just
no. It's not something. No. It's it's not something that I participate in. It was something that, again, I communicated with my roleplay partner and my roleplay partners when I do roleplay, because I do roleplay, just so you know. But
wait, you mean in the last couple years here, John?
Yeah.
Or has it been a while? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
it hasn't been 10 years for me. I don't know about you guys, but So, but it was always a clear line, and it is a clear line for people that I roleplay with. And if it's a relationship RP, and I've roleplayed several of those, that if it comes into that, because when I do roleplay, it's always been heavy roleplay, what I consider heavy roleplay. It's my character. I am my character. I'm roleplaying as my character. There's no, not a whole lot of OOC comments while we're roleplaying. A lot of the stuff that we discuss as far as what's going to happen and that sort of thing is discussed usually in advance. But for the most part, I'm more of a reactionary heavy role player. But always make it clear that if it comes to that bedroom scene, you're role playing, things get a little, it's time for that bedroom scene to happen, then it's always, for me, it's always been fade to black. And we fade to black.
Which is a respectable way to do it.
And for me, and again, this is just, again, my opinion and something that I feel is good for me, is because I wouldn't want to see my wife engaged in, ERP with someone, as far as, because it would make me feel a little bit like, because, you do hear the stories, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. But, and so for me and my role play partners, it's always been fade to black. The deed happens. We all know what the deed is, and so there's no need to get in. For myself, there's no need to get into the full, descriptive whole thing about it. The whole scene doesn't need to be played out, but we know it happened, and we fade to black, and then the scene starts with the next thing. It's either the next morning or so. And then we're able to do things like, the kids and that sort of thing in the RP and all that. So, but that's just the way I've always done it. But much like you guys, I've never shunned anyone for doing it. What two consenting adults do in their private chat is between them and their private chat. If I'm not hearing about it, then I don't know about it, and I don't need to know about it. I think
that the fade to black idea brings up two very good points. I think first off, where, we were discussing a little bit ago in terms of what helps, in terms of making a RP relationship last for an extended period of time. I think that making certain that you are on that same page with those individuals in terms of situations like that. If you are interested in ERP and the individual that you're role playing with is not, it may be okay at first, and you may be like, oh yeah, no, it doesn't bother me for one way or the other. But I can almost guarantee that if that's what you're interested in and the other person you're role playing with is not, you may eventually end up having problems, especially if down the road you find somebody that is willing to engage in the erotic role play with you, and unfortunately then you kind of sideline this other role player for that. Yeah. So and there's nothing, and I'm saying, across, it's not anything that's wrong with the person that wants to fade to black. There's nothing wrong with the person that wants to participate in the erotic role play. But it's important that you are both on the same page as far as that's concerned, or that's definitely something that could end up potentially causing problems, because either one way or the other, somebody is not going to be happy, and they're going to gravitate towards individuals that perhaps are more interested in the type of role play that they're engaged in. And that doesn't necessarily speak true just specifically to erotic role play. If you are interested in a dark theme kind of role play and somebody else is not, that's not going to work out. It's going to be okay for a little bit, but if they're not giving you the type of role play that you're interested in, whether it's relationships, whether it's a dark side of role play, whether it is family, whether it is military, regardless, you have to be on the same page as far as your interests are concerned. If it's something that, you're really looking to make this a long-term relationship, RP between role players in an OC fashion, if you're really looking to role play with this individual long term, having those common interests in those important things are, of the utmost importance in all of that. Also, in the fade to black area, I would like to mention that I think it's an important thing to toss out there for discussion. If you have just met someone, if you have just started role playing with this person, if you do not know anything about, if you do not have an open line of communication and that sort of thing going just yet, you probably do not want to engage in erotic role play with this person, for the simple fact that you do not know who that other person on that other side of the computer screen is. And if that person is a minor, you can get yourself into some serious trouble. And that's not cool. So I think that it's important that, at least it's been, for me, it's important that if you're going to engage in erotic role play, that it's someone that you have had, time to get to know, at least in terms of making certain that they are, I guess at the very least, an adult. Amongst other things, I think, again, communication about the IC OOC boundary is important, and all of those sorts of things. but to just randomly walk up with someone, role play with them for 5 minutes, and then decide you're going to go off and have this romantic ERP
Interlude,
interaction is probably not the wisest thing on your part, because of the fact that you do not know who is sitting on the other side of that screen.
Now, and I want to point this out here and make sure that we didn't take Grand Nagus out of context, because he really wanted us to make sure that to emphasize that he just was reflecting on our statement about that if you go to Moonguard, you'll see it, and on Wormrest you don't really see it much. Your words reflected by me with regards for what players want in regards of ERP. He says, I do not look down on Moonguard. I just want to make that clear. And so, yeah, we got you, Grand Nagus, and I don't think we were saying that you were looking down on Moonguard at all.
Yeah, that's not what I was inferring at all.
Yeah, no.
It was simply, it reminded me of statements of such, but I wasn't.
Yeah, not
saying that
we're not saying we're not saying Grand Nagus is poo-pooing on folks from Moonguard at all. But that you will hear that when you mention Moonguard, people snicker right away because the first thing they think of is Goldshire, and it's and like Layla said, it's very unfortunate that a lot of people have allowed just one dot on that whole RP server to kind of spoil the roleplay soup there, as it were, because of some things that are, in my opinion, I think Blizzard let get out of hand, and so
unfortunately, I don't think that Blizzard has any control over it.
Oh, they do.
They
Those people were.
What are they?
They were definitely violating terms of service with some of that stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know that Blizzard really can sit and have a GM dedicated to sitting in Goldshire 24/7 on Moonguard to try and get rid of all of these people.
Well, no, and I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they should, but what I am saying is a lot of people. The reason why they poo-poo Moonguard is for the exact same reasons Vlad was saying, was because of Goldshire and because the folks look down on those folks that engage in that ERP there in Goldshire, and they just think that all of Moonguard is like that, when that is quite the opposite.
But here's the thing, though, John.
Don't argue with me, Layla. We're done. Okay, moving on.
It almost works to a certain degree for Moonguard. Moonguard is not hurting for population. Moonguard is a very active, thriving server.
That's why Wormrest became as popular as it did. Are you kidding me?
As far as all of that's concerned, I would imagine that the general consensus of Moonguard is that if you think our server is predominantly like that and you don't want to be here, good, don't come here.
Wow. Wow.
Because if you are that, I want to say in terms of roleplay, if you're that narrow-minded to believe that dot on that map constitutes the entire server, you might want to rethink that, because but at the same time, that's what brings a lot of people to Moonguard. They are interested in that. And they are interested in that open community that Moonguard generally has. John! You're not going to be able to roll a tune on Moonguard ever.
In fact,
They're going to blacklist you.
I have the most tunes on Moonguard than I have on any other.
They are going to be sending you hate mail.
So a lot of folks went from Silverhand to Moonguard before the Goldshire incident. So it was the most popular. And then a lot of folks that didn't want to participate in that type of roleplay went over and started populating Wormrest. And I think that's where we see the divide now. And I've always said it. There is a great distinction between the roleplay that you'll find on Moonguard versus what you'll find on Wormrest versus what you'll find on Emerald Dream. So different styles for different folks.
Grand Nagus has something interesting to say here. He said there is the other side of RP for Horde in Silvermoon, and that's hardly getting the same attention as Goldshire. I think it's got to do with one very important issue, the close location to the major capital of the Alliance compared to the most out-of-the-way capital, Silvermoon, for the Horde. That's true. You'll get a lot of not non-role players, PvPers and raiders, who will be by Goldshire, or they'll go out to Goldshire, or whatever, and they'll find ERPers, or they'll and then that's where that kind of they got their popularity. Whereas not a lot of raiders and PvPers hang out in Silvermoon. Most role players are there on the Horde side, so there's that. I think that was a good point to make.
I don't think I've ever gone to Silvermoon, though. While I understand to a degree what you're saying, Grand Nagus, I've never gone to Silvermoon and found it to be anything like Goldshire in terms.
Well, there was
of,
that naked elf man on the beach and with the kids.
That's not Silvermoon. That's in Eversong.
Oh,
but yeah, we're gonna discuss that. But I don't know. I think that Goldshire at least is in a situation where it's very easy for individuals to roll up a human on Moonguard and go down there and troll them, or just get involved with it if that's what they so desire. I think that level of ease of access is certainly very true. I guess I don't quite understand what the correlation is being made to Silvermoon, unless you're trying to say that something about the fact that the role play that you can find in Silvermoon is somewhat similar, which I can see that correlation, but at the same time, it's definitely not. I'm just gonna ERP in an open chat channel the way that it is. I think that while it exists in Silvermoon, while I would say that I agree that that's probably the easiest place to find it in terms of Horde, it's still not quite as just blatantly in your face as Goldshire is.
Because it's harder to get to, Layla.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
And Dre,
I think it has more to do with the fact of the pretty blood elves than anything.
Oh.
Dre has also got something. He says, interestingly enough, before I knew about Warm Rest Accord, I RP'd on Kirin Tor and actually had decent RP in Goldshire. In the end, by the lake.
Well, yeah, you'll find good RP and Warm Rest by Goldshire. It's not as inundated like on Moonguard.
Yeah.
But in fact, you'll find it on most servers, with the exception of Moonguard. And again, that's just because the people that ERP on Moonguard know that they can go to Goldshire there, and it's going to be there. So they're going to congregate there, whereas on other servers, that's not the case. And so that type of activity would probably be harder to find. Speaking of that type of activity, how does that affect... Well, not necessarily. And again, getting away from the ERP, how does relationship RP affect real life situations?
Well, we were kind of talking about that earlier with, if you're in a relationship and you're role playing with another person and your characters are in a relationship. The one thing to note is that, again, this is when it really matters where out of character is separate from in character, because, and also you might have a different idea of the role play than your role play partner. Layla, again, I want to reference Layla in the sense that she was talking about how the fade to black issue, like some people want the fade to black and other people don't, and if that clear line, let's say that clear line is established, I don't want to fade to black, but Layla does, and that is known. If I'm the typical role player in this instance, I'm slowly going to lose interest in the role play because that's not the way I want to do it. So you have to be aware of the idea of what kind of role play you're looking for, and make sure that your partner's idea kind of aligns with that. And also, you really should identify or analyze your character's feelings and your own feelings. Don't force your character to like someone because they cyber with you, or, because, you are in a relationship with this other person. Your character doesn't have to like that person. I'm not saying that's what I'm saying. Don't prod your character in that direction. I think that's unhealthy. Some people do that and it still turns out fine, but my personal opinion, you let your character go and do what they want.
Have you seen, because someone started role playing with another person, that in real life they became a real couple?
Me and Layla are an example of that.
Ah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, tell the story, sir.
Okay. We actually met. How long ago was it? Like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. And we weren't. Our characters were involved, but they weren't. I shouldn't say they were involved. They were involved in the same role play as our guild. And they knew of each other, but they weren't involved romantically. And basically, sometime later, that whole thing kind of fell apart, the whole guild thing, and we kept in touch throughout the years. And eventually, I kind of struck up another role play with her on Skype, and we kind of did an orc role play, and it was really good. And eventually, we, kind of liked each other. So.
And then I made him get married, folks.
Yep. And then John
because he told Vlad he'd have to sleep on the couch otherwise.
Yep.
Right.
So it's all John's fault. Because Vlad didn't want to sleep on the couch.
That's right.
Pretty much.
Now, Layla, have you seen RP relationships break up? Folks in real life.
I guess I can't say for certain that I know that they were, because here's the thing. Again, if you allow for it to happen, that means that there are other problems. If much the same, again, I don't want to get into some big conversation about real life troubles and whatnot, but I think of it along the same lines as, a real life episode as far as having an affair or getting romantically involved with somebody else. If you allow that to happen, there's obviously other issues that are at hand, and not just simply that. If you have a committed and stable relationship with someone, something like role play is not going to it's not going to break that up, is not going to interfere with that unless you allow for it to. I can't say that I know for certain that people have separated due to role play, only because when things end up turning very badly, they tend to disappear from Warcraft altogether. And you never really get to know what the end result was. As an example, and this goes back to our conversation last week about an individual that tried to force themselves upon my character and having to say, like, right, look, this isn't cool. So we'll go back to this individual, in that this individual was clearly looking for something that he was not getting in real life. And it was made apparent to me on multiple occasions, of which I was not going to get involved in. I didn't have any interest in it. To the point of, and I'll share these uncomfortable facts because of the fact that I think that it's important to have these kinds of discussions to, open up the dialogue for saying, like, this isn't cool. This isn't stuff that you do in role play, and it's not okay. After that incident where he had his character force himself on my character, and, we had the whole OOC discussion, like, look, dude, that's not cool. I'm not interested in that, and you need to not. And it had nothing to do with, like, not interested in erotic role play or anything. Like, no, I'm not. I am not interested in my character having sex with your character just simply for that reason. Like, if, your character is not involved with my character, your character has nothing to do with the story of my character, we're not just going to cyber and call it role play. I'm not into that. And, at the time we had that discussion, he's like, okay, and we had the discussion about in-character consequences yielding out of character in-character actions yielding out-of-character consequences because of those sorts of things. Like if you choose to get your character involved in this, you could potentially get kicked out of the guild. Because it's, if it's a heavy roleplay guild and roleplay and story is the function of the guild, if you are no longer in the story of the guild, you need to go about your way. But in any event, so this individual proceeded on multiple other times to attempt to engage me in ERP for the sake of saying, like, look, my character is really interested in your character. Can we go ahead and do something? And then we'll just say it was like in a dream, like it was his fantasy and he was having a dream about it. Like, no, because I'm not interested in that. That is not, to me, that's not the role play that I'm interested in, because that's not something true to my character. I'm not going to put my character, even in a dream instance, in that situation, because I cannot actively engage my character in that way, just simply to cyber with you. And basically what happened thereafter was, it was clear that this individual found someone else in the guild that was willing to do this. Now, this created multiple problems, because this other character now is in an in-character relationship with a character in the guild. This individual that was making advances at me is now engaging her in a more, basically a cyber type, where they're going to go off in ERP, but it has nothing to do with their characters.
Oh, God.
In characterly, it's just something that they, as individuals, OOCly want to go and do. That created problems for that character, like the other couple. Like, I don't even know how to describe it without, I really don't want to, obviously don't want to get into names and things like that, but it was just a giant,
I'm afraid you're going to have to give us
mess.
Names, Layla.
Well, let me at least reiterate this. This is a situation that probably happened at least like 5-6 years ago, long time ago. But this is a situation where, because of ERP, because of
friend list
relationship,
6 years ago.
No, not my friends list, John.
Oh, okay. Thank
anyway, so, but it got very messy very quickly. And eventually it led to these individuals being removed from the guild, because clearly what they were doing was no longer in an interest to the guild. They were not participating in the guild. They were just going off and they were ERPing, and it had nothing to do with their characters. They were just having cyber sex, basically, and using their characters as a front for that. But I will say that sometime later, I got around to kind of asking around, well, whatever happened to so-and-so? And what came about, from what I understand, from this other individual that he was doing, basically having this cyber sex encounter with, is that she told me that basically his wife found out and he's no longer allowed to play World of Warcraft.
Wow.
So situations like that, I'm very much aware of, that have happened to people that have been around me, whether, in RP guilds or just people that I've known, that you see on a regular basis, and then suddenly they're not there anymore. And then you're kind of like, well, what happened to them? I've heard multiple occasions where these individuals have gotten themselves into some serious real life problems, because they've been spending too much time role playing in these romantic relationships, and, not making those efforts with the people that they're actually with in real life. Or it's a situation where, your significant other is not comfortable with the fact that you are engaging in erotic role play with another individual, and, that sort of thing. So, like I said, I can't say for certain that I know that, relationships have been, irrevocably destroyed because of ERP or because of relationship RP, but it definitely makes things very messy. And especially, again, it goes back to the whole, line between IC and OOC. Like, you really have to be aware of what you're doing, and be aware of consequences if you're if you're okay with those consequences, or, those are all decisions for you to make, for yourself. We can't necessarily give you advice on what you're supposed to do or not supposed to do in those cases. but you have to be aware that I think that if you have a poor situation in real life in terms of romance and romantic relationships with people, the idea of romance roleplay is going to sink its claws in very hard to you. And it's going to be very difficult for you to not fall victim to those sorts of things.
All right. Well, I know for myself, I have seen people get together through roleplay and roleplay relationships and end up getting married, much like you and Vlad. I've also seen, unfortunately, the other side as well, where people have gotten divorced because two people role-played together and then ended up meeting in real life and cheating on their significant others, whether they're married or not. So, and I think it all goes back to, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. And again, it all goes back to that very important topic, or the very important point, I should say, of communicating with not only your significant other, and if you have to talk to them and say, hey, listen, I'm playing in World of Warcraft, I'm role-playing with this person here, we're role-playing a relationship, does that make you uncomfortable? How do you feel about that? And, communicating with your significant other and communicating with your role-play partner as well. I think all those will make for a happy role-play environment, rather than if you're sneaking up at 1 o'clock in the morning because you know your significant other doesn't like that person you're role-playing with and you're sneaking in there. Like Layla said, there's other issues going on there that you need to address in your life. So relationship role-play, it can be rocky, right, Vlad?
Most definitely.
If you make it so.
Yeah. I think that, again, like you said, open communication, keeping a kind of, I don't want to say a business kind of relationship with the person out of character with it. If you're in that situation, I would say just kind of keep it professional and try not to get too involved out of character. Unless, of course, you are genuinely interested in this person out of character. And, Dre said it best right here. Don't fall in love with the model. That's
a great way to say it. Way to go, Dre. That's nice.
Don't fall in love with the character. If you're gonna fall in love with the person, like I did with Layla.
Oh.
Well, no, you want to fall in love with the person, then, right?
That's what I was saying. If you're going to fall in love with them, make sure you actually like the person. You actually love the person, not not.
Well,
the
Layla, if you transform back into the lady, Layla, if you do that for us.
Well, I think that just
transform.
Why do I have to?
Because I want to see. I'm pointing out. So I'm making a point, Layla.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, you got to take your helm off. We can't see you.
That's your face.
Maybe that's really my face.
That's not your face.
John.
Oh God, Layla. Oh God. See, that looks like Layla. It's, so you can fall in love with this model because it looks just like Layla.
Layla, look at me.
It does, right?
God, he's staring at me. John's kind of weirding me out.
Yeah, I mean that to me that looks a lot like
more
Layla.
Beautiful.
Oh,
I
there
think
we go.
Good
job, sir. Good job.
Just on the point, because the way that Vlad had presented it, I just want to make certain that, I don't want to be like, oh, I need to make this clear because it was said poorly. But I think that it's worth noting that it wasn't. Vlad and I didn't become interested in one another because of the romantic RP. We were already interested in one another, and as a result, decided to make characters that were romantically
Our characters weren't even romantically involved.
No, they weren't, but I think that we were open to that possibility.
Yeah.
But we didn't, it wasn't because of the romantic relationship between our characters that we were together.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that wraps it up just about.
I think that's. I really like to end it on. Don't fall in love with the model. You're gonna fall in love with the person if they if they so choose.
That's
so
right.
yeah. But relationships are a lot of fun. They can really make for some great role play and something that folks will
And
think
one
on.
last thing.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
You'll discover things about your character that you probably just wouldn't know. Like maybe they are a slut. Like
Wow.
that could
boy
that
toy.
hey, that's
You
the
heard
thing.
it here.
But,
Vlad's
that's,
a boy toy.
wow. But no, that's again, like we were saying, you'll discover things about your character that you don't realize are there for relationship roleplay. So I encourage to at least try romance out once or become become crazy blades. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Listen, if that's what you're interested in, freaking own it. Okay, that's all. You just own it.
Yeah.
Don't be backwards about it.
Yeah, don't try to back like, oh, I'm not that kind of guy. No, you're definitely that kind of guy.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. If you're hitting on everything that walks by you in the Cathedral Square in Stormwind.
It makes me think of in Wayne's World when Garth is sitting at the bar and all the ladies are as they're walking by. He's attempting to have this normal conversation, but every time a lady walks by, he stops. He's like, swing, 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 swing. Like he's attempting to have this normal conversation in middle of all of it. It's like, yeah.
Yep. So definitely, definitely find some good relationship role play. Again, it doesn't have to be sexual, but find some relationship role play. Go out there, role play your butt off, and you'll find yourself having all kinds of great role play with good friends, and maybe eventually become family. Who knows? Do it safely, communicate, and I think that's it, guys.
Will we be broadcasting next week? I was never certain on this.
I think the answer was no. What is going on over there, you weirdos?
He'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah, what the heck is going on? So no, I think the answer was no, wasn't it? Because I know.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because we weren't available for Saturday night, and
Yeah.
Sunday night is Christmas Eve.
So it'll be the week after.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll be taking a week hiatus.
For the
You
holidays.
will reconvene on the 30th.
The 30th of December.
Dre, Layla is the bug queen, and that's what.
Yes, those are part of the shoulders. It is the mythic tier set for druids from Blackrock Foundry.
And their grasshopper wings.
Yes.
I think you get them off the train, dude, right? Yeah, that's what you just said, isn't it?
I just said it was just mythic Blackrock Foundry is the tier set.
Do you have to go through the blast furnace for that? Because if you do, you're gonna have to do.
Oh, geez, we're not here to discuss.
That's
rating,
that's on rating tonight with Vlad, Layla, and Turnwinkle.
Oh God.
Because I'm really casual on the rating, but So.
Well.
Okay. So Kaka, Layla, where can folks find us?
They can find us if they're not watching us here at twitch.tv/fortheroleplay. They can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/fortheroleplay. And if they venture over to twitter.com/fortheroleplay, there's also links to our YouTube, which if you've missed past weeks or just want to rewatch or what have you, you can find the links to our YouTube there on Twitter, or you can email us at ftrpcast@gmail.com.
Excellent. So there you go, guys. And we'll have a fun... Do you think we'll do another poll?
That's what I was about to ask. Do you guys want to do another poll for our
Warlocks.
next show?
Or Warlocks.
No, not Warlocks. We're not going to do Warlock. If we can talk about Warlocks, not just an entire show devoted to Warlocks.
What? Come on. We could do a whole show on Warlocks.
No.
Demons, do you keep them in your pants? Do you not?
We can probably...
No,
we can
apparently
probably do, like,
if you have a
block of
succubus,
classes.
you make it stand at the bottom of the stairs while you're erping upstairs in the house.
Well, yeah, that's to keep... Yeah, see, Grand Nagus agrees with me. Warlocks. But no, we will eventually do all the classes, all the races.
I think we should do them in, like, kind of a block episode.
Sir. No, a whole episode could be devoted to Warlocks. Talk about famous Warlocks, yes. Don't you
No.
Hey, you know what? Don't make me come over there. I'll throw you into the ocean here. There's a crab
Bring it
down
on,
there with
fake
your name
beard.
on it. Look at that. See him down there? He's just saying, throw me Vlad. I will throw you down there. We'll discuss it later, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good topic too, Dre. Human age compared to Draenei and Gnome. Yeah, that's all right.
Now that would be like 5 seconds.
Well, I'm just saying it is a topic at least. Anyway,
Like more like
we
what are you saying?
will
Warlocks is not a
develop it
topic?
later.
Okay.
We will develop it later, and we'll get back to you guys about
That's
our
right.
next topic.
That's right.
We have
We'll
a
put a
good
poll
one.
out there. It'll be a good poll. I was going to say Warlocks, but all right.
Just end the goddamn stream
All
already.
right. So with that, guys, have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to joining you next time talking about roleplay on. Everybody together for the roleplay.
No.
Oh.
No.
Loktar!
See you guys.
Bye bye. Bye bye.